My wife is 32 years old, and I am 33 years old. We have always had a warm relationship. We were high school sweethearts and got married after she got pregnant. Her pregnancy was the reason for us to get married. We always had intimacy and enjoyed it from the beginning with very few interruptions. I can say that we have had a very happy life together so far, and there is no reason to think otherwise. However, ever since we had our son, we have had a hard time raising him because he was always sick. The doctors thought he was anemic. When he turned 14 years old, he began to have flare-ups more often. He would seize up with gas pains, which would make him hunched over and feel like he couldn't move. He was always exhausted. He could sleep for hours, and no matter how much he slept, he would still be exhausted. He always had lightheadedness, and sometimes the vertigo attacks would come out of nowhere. We usually found out he was sick when we did blood work, and we were frustrated because we never knew the cause. Since it was so random, I always felt bad about what he was going through because I don't know anyone in my family with this type of disease. We never did a test to find out where it came from, since it might not have been hereditary, so I just assumed it was somewhere on my wife's side of the family. The doctor did some tests, and they always showed that he had anemia, which could be hereditary or acquired. So we weren't sure it affected our family, and it became our new normal. Luckily, we went to another doctor, and he discovered our son had celiac disease. He eliminated gluten, and he felt like a normal person again. Celiac disease is hereditary, meaning it is inherited. Oddly enough, my wife and I were both happy because, for the first time in our lives, we could actually control the exacerbations. We were not going to continue to arrange our lives based on hospital visits and being prepared to take our son to the emergency room at any moment. We were relieved for once in 14 years. Little did we know that this would only be the beginning of the destruction of our marriage. Knowing that the root cause of his inherited disease would be devastating to our family and would reveal a 15-year-old secret that only my wife could answer. The doctor recommended that my wife and I get a blood test to find out which side of the family the disease came from. We did the blood test, and it came back negative. This means no antibodies for celiac. Disease were detected in our blood. We did another test, and the result was the same. At our next visit, the doctor was confused and asked if our son was adopted. We said no. He kind of stopped there, but it was awkward, and I noticed my wife was uncomfortable. As we drove home from the doctor's office, I was unusually quiet. My thoughts were turning to the time our son was conceived. I remember jokingly suggesting that we take a paternity test at that time because I was still using protection. She could have freaked out or taken a defensive stance, but all she had to do was act normal to make it go away. I was actually joking. And now more than ever, I regret it. She knew I was joking. Now, I have my doubts. I didn't dare question her about it, even though the thought was unthinkable. I raised him from birth. He is my world. He is my legacy. Sleepless nights. The pain and suffering, the deception, 'twas something that was beyond my wildest dreams. The thought that he might not be mine was unfathomable. I was afraid to even take a DNA test because of what I might find. I finally mustered up the courage to order a test kit online and mailed it in. The result came back. My world came crashing down. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't understand it. We went to college together and had very few problems. We had, or so I thought, a happy life together. We have similar work schedules, and I never once suspected anything was going on behind my back. And yet, this is not my son. When she came home that day, she found me lying on the floor with a half-empty bottle of whiskey. I didn't even notice she was home until she tried to wake me up. I asked her who the baby's father was, and she backed away and looked embarrassed. She then replied in anger that the father was me. I told her she had lied, and she had lied to me for 14 years. I told her I had a DNA test, and it showed he was not mine. She asked me if she could see the DNA test, and I told her no, and to answer the damn question. Instead of answering questions about who the biological dad was, she tried to turn the tables on me, mumbling about how I could do a paternity test on our son, as if I had done something wrong. She tried to make it seem as if taking a paternity test was worse than her sleeping with another man and then bringing home his child to raise as my own for 14 years. She tried to make it seem like it was my fault for taking the DNA test. I told her she was the cause. While our son has been in agony for 14 years, she knew the cause. She should have known, but she'll let him suffer and let me suffer to hide her secret. She tried her best to distract and shift the blame. I finally told her that if she didn't tell me who the baby's father was, I would contact every man she had contacted or socialized with in the last 15 years and ask for a DNA test from them. My eyes were blood red, so she knew I was completely serious. She finally couldn't take it anymore, telling me he belonged to a coworker from her previous job. She told me that she had been infatuated with this guy for about a month. They had been intimate a couple of times, and then they stopped because she loved me so much. And for that whole month, I suspected absolutely nothing and happily lived my happy life. Until now, I can't trust her. I can barely look her in the eye. I thought we had everything we wanted, and we were already planning to have a baby when this one came along. We were happy. I was genuinely happy, and now I can't escape the feeling that our entire marriage was a lie. We have a big house, nice cars, and a good life without financial worries. But I lost the most important thing. She said it just happened that one time she felt adventurous. She just wanted something out of the ordinary. But I can't believe her. It wasn't just a lie. My life has become a lie, and I feel like I've lost everything but meaningless things. She's not the person I knew. He's not my son. And basically, I'm alone and without an offspring of my own. I couldn't hold back the tears. I couldn't stay in my house any longer. I called my boss at work and told him everything that I wouldn't be going to work anytime soon, and I needed some time off. He was worried about my mental state. He insisted on driving to my house to make sure I was okay. I wasn't very close to my boss, but he drove to my house and took me to a restaurant that night so I could spend some time away from home. He told me later that it reminded him of an incident where his friend found out his child wasn't his and harmed himself. He wanted to be there to make sure I had all the support I needed. He encouraged me to take some time off and do something I had always wanted to do but couldn't because of my responsibilities. I've always wanted to travel, because I'd never traveled out of the country except for Mexico, because I was always working to provide for my family and I wanted to be there for my son in case of an emergency. That's why we never traveled much. I wanted to go to developing countries, to a safe place that was unusual enough to give me culture shock. After my boss told me this, I suddenly felt happy. It was a nice distraction, a new adventure. My wife and I had always wanted to go to Kenya, Namibia, and Thailand. So I felt this might be a great opportunity for me. She told me I was running away from my problems, but I told her I needed space to think. It gets worse. I can't look at the boy the same way. It's not his fault. And I loved this little pest before he was born, but I don't feel that way now. I feel like he's someone I raised, but he's not my son. The connection I had to him, to her, to everything has been taken away. I applied for a tourist visa to Kenya and received it within 48 hours. I had a lot to look forward to, and I would advise anyone going through something like this to go somewhere else, somewhere with a different culture. It's perfect for a short-term distraction. It wasn't the best time to be in Kenya, but the distraction was good for my mental health. For a few hours, I didn't have to think about my son or my wife, just the locals and nature. I had fun snorkeling and boating. People look at you with genuine love in their eyes, even if they don't know you. It was what I needed at the time. But after a week in Mombasa, I went home to get my house in order. I made the decision to divorce my wife. When I got home, I wanted to go back to where I had just come from. Home is not home when she is here. I can't look at her, I can't stand her voice. And I have become cold to the boy, which makes me feel completely miserable. He's a smart kid. And he already knows something's wrong, but I can't help it. I will never leave the boy. I feel disconnected from him, and I also attribute that to the fact that this is breaking news. Either way, this has to stop, and I know it. My marriage is different. My wife wanted us to go to marriage counseling, saying it happened a long time ago, and she has been good ever since. But what can I say? That she never cheated on me again after that. I was using protection with her, and she was sleeping with a former coworker. She knew 15 years ago that the baby wasn't mine, but she lied for all that time. How can I trust anything she says? I demanded an amicable divorce to give me a chance to heal. We have to share custody of our son, and I will still be his legal father. I still love him, and it's not his fault, as long as my wife agrees to everything. I don't know if I will eventually feel the same way about my son again, and it scares the hell out of me. I told my soon-to-be ex-wife that I want her to contact the biological father and let him know. Right now, it's better for things to come out. She wanted me to keep it from the biological father, as well as from family and friends. I agreed, on the condition that once the divorce was finalized, I would tell my parents. Telling my parents will be a hard pill to swallow. I'm still young. I can still start a new family, and that will be the best way to get over the cheating. I have already filed for divorce, and it will be finalized in the next 6 months. Right now, I'm mainly looking for an apartment and will leave the house to my soon-to-be ex-wife and son. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you again.